past couple of weeks, my For You page has been taken over by a certain blonde actress, one Miss Sydney Sweeney. A couple of weeks ago, it was because she was selling her bathwater scented soap to a group of incels. I'm not exaggerating when I say that. And today, it's because she's suddenly the face of a certain eugenics campaign. See what I did there? Jeans. Hi, I'm Ashara, and I make videos at the intersection of sociology, psychology, technology, and media. And today I want to talk about how Sydney Sweeney has become the face of problematic campaigns and advertising, but how this advertising is actually reflecting the fraught times that we're in. Let's get into it. But before I start, I just want to say I don't want to hear the whole, "It's not that deep," because it is that deep. Everything is that deep. Just because you don't think deeply about things doesn't mean there's no depth there. Okay. If you didn't know, Sydney Sweeney is a popular American actress who's most famous for her role as Cassie in the show Euphoria. And she's recently been featured in a couple of American Eagle jeans ads. Yes, American Eagle, that store that's next to Hollister and Abercrombie in the mall. And these ads have come under attack because they seem to be sending a not so subliminal message that white is back in. But has it ever really left?
Hey. Bitch, you better be joking.
Let's just watch the video and then I'll give my comments after.
Genes are passed down from parents to offspring, often determining traits like hair color, personality, and even eye color. My genes are blue.
Sydney Sweeney, Casper jeans.
Okay, well that was something. Before I get into the whiteness of it all, why is she speaking like that? Why is she talking like that? It seems to be a very forced, put on vocal fry. It's frying my ears. I am on a roll today. The voice she's putting on seems very forced. It's definitely reminiscent of like a 2000s Valley Girl. Maybe that was the whole point. Maybe that's the direction the director gave her. It just seemed very forced.
Why are you talking like that?
Why are you talking like that?
Quickly, let's note that the ad actually seems pretty sexual for an ad that's for women. It's a woman marketing to women, but it seems oddly leaning into a bunch of sexuality. The camera pans up on her body very slowly, starting from, I would say, mid-leg all the way up to her face. So we see her dismembered body parts before we actually see her face, which I would argue is the center of anyone's personhood. This kind of reminds me of early 2000s movies and advertisements where they would show a woman walking, but it's her bare legs first before we get to her tight skirt, before we get to her cleavage, before we get to her face. Think like Megan Fox when she was filming the Transformers movie and she was opening up that hood. The target demographic of that movie was men, and she was obviously the love interest, but she was there to stand in for the men watching the film as their love interest. What strikes me with this campaign is that they're doing the same thing, but they're marketing to women. This is not really how women speak to each other. That's odd thing number one. Odd thing number two, Sydney Sweeney is laying down while zipping her pants up. It seems oddly suggestive. It's not exactly a normal way to zip up one's pants. It's like we've caught her in the act of undressing after a rather intimate moment. She's kind of posed like those beach photos that you try to get your friends to take of you that are like candid, but they're not candid because nothing's natural about it, where you're like laying back on your elbows and your back is arched and your butt's out and your face is very strained. That's what she's doing. Why? So the ad is very obviously sensual. It's leaning into a lot of sensuality. But it's interesting because Sydney Sweeney has gone on record saying that she doesn't want to be sexualized. But almost every single project that she takes, she's like half naked in.
I have never, ever been happier!
And then this begs the question of who is this ad for? Who is the audience meant to be here? Because it seems like she's advertising to a man, but she's selling women's clothes. In her soap ad, it made sense, right? She's in a bathtub, presumably nude. She's selling a product to men, advertising her bath water. Of course, she's gonna speak very seductively. But this time, she's supposed to be talking to the average woman, the average girl. So I just feel like there's a big disconnection here. Disconnection? Misconnection? There's a big disconnect here. Basically, it's giving male gaze. But when is she ever in a project that's not giving male gaze? I think that's the question here.
They are not trying to sell jeans to women. They are trying to sell stock to men. And it's working. Listen, I didn't get this either. I was like, what are they doing? This is not how you sell jeans to women. And then my boyfriend, who is into stocks, was like, oh, they know exactly what they're doing. They want to drive up the American Eagle stock. And who buys stock? Predominantly men. This right here is a screenshot from his phone where you can clearly see that that is exactly what's happening. Like, it doesn't get any more straightforward than this. It is so sad that this is what it's come to. Companies that are supposed to be attracting women care more about attracting men so that they do better on the stock market. So I guess that's just what it is now. I'm pretty sure all the other ads we've seen so far where Sydney Sweeney was clearly like sexualized and put in like a seductive light, that was for the men. Her bias for the men. So next time you see a super seductive sexualized ad of Sydney Sweeney, which I'm sure it's gonna happen again, look at what the company's stock is looking like. Because I guarantee it will be going up. Again, plus 18.93%. Do with this information what you will. Okay, bye.
Moving on. This ad does leave a sour taste in my mouth. Can you taste it? Tastes like rotten milk. There is intention in commercials. You don't just throw stuff together. This ad wasn't just slapped together and people didn't think about the messaging that was in there. It was on purpose. American Eagle intentionally chose a white woman with blonde hair and blue eyes to give us a rudimentary understanding of genetics. And the conclusion of the ad praises her for having good genetics. But if it says that she has good genetics, then in some way it's insinuating that some people have bad genetics, or at least less good genetics. And Sydney Sweeney is the sole model in this campaign. She is supposed to represent, well, actually, we don't really know. Like, American Eagle, what is she supposed to represent? What are y'all doing? She's the sole model in this campaign. So for them to solely praise her as having good genetics comes off as tone deaf at best and reminiscent of a certain Aryan-loving group at worst. If they had included more diverse models in the campaign with her, like maybe a Black model, an Asian model, Latina model, and then they all had the phrase, so-and-so has good genes, it would make it make more sense. Because it's not making any sense right now. And that is why people are mad. There's a lot of comments online saying, I don't understand, it's just a play on of words, you know, genes as in genetics, but genes as in like the clothing item. It's not that big of a deal. But because there was just so much intention around it, and because of who Sydney Sweeney is, how she appears, what she represents, white America, it's not a far leap or a jump or a cry to assume that the ad is saying that they're very pro-white. Since filming this video, a couple of things have happened in this story that I must mention. Number one, AE did not apologize at all. The company did release a statement saying that the ad is about Sydney Sweeney and her story. However, they don't actually craft a story beyond talking about her genetics. So this feels like a hollow attempt at a public acknowledgement of outrage, but they noticeably don't distance themselves from those Aryan accusations. Interesting. Number two, Trump came out in support of the ad because word got out that Sydney Sweeney is a registered Republican. He compared AE to companies he thinks are too woke, like Jaguar. He then praised AE for the ad and said that the jeans are flying off the shelves. So Sweeney has MAGA support, an audience that loudly claims it's proud of its own genetics, and Trump support too. And the ad doesn't exist in a vacuum. There's actually a lot of historical context for something like this. The United States has repeatedly put out racist ads since its inception, since we started selling products, right? We saw it in Jim Crow, we saw it in the 90s, we saw it a couple years ago, we're seeing it right now. It's very American. I think it's important that we contextualize what is going on in the world right now that allowed this ad to come out when it did and to say the things that it did. It's no secret that we're experiencing a rise in conservatism, which is often intertwined with white supremacist ideals hiding under the guise of traditionalism. Sure, tradition. What tradition? Whose traditions? Right. We've got people without shame admitting to be fascist. We've got Americans being snatched off the street and thrown into detention centers because they fit a description. And we've got an extermination of an entire group of brown people going on in the Middle East right now because non-brown people feel like they deserve their land. And then we've got this ad from Sydney Sweeney claiming that she's inherited her genetics from her parents and she has good genes. In the context, it definitely seems like it's just a mirror up to the political standings of a lot of people right now. It just seems like such a blatantly loud dog whistle for a hierarchy in which whiteness is placed at the top because those are the good genes. Hannah Holland for MSNBC writes, "Ads are always mirrors of society, and sometimes what they reflect is ugly and startling. Popular American culture is indisputably becoming more puritanical and more conservative." And what goes hand in hand with conservatism? Whiteness. So this ad is really just a reflection of the growing conservative times that we're in. And this isn't to say that people of color can't be conservative or have conservative values, but conservatism is largely associated with white people because it promotes traditions, laws, and practices that conserve whiteness's place at the top of racial, social, financial, and political hierarchies. This comes as such a shock because American Eagle had previously been applauded for its use of diverse messaging and diverse ads. But those were in a different time under different political socioeconomic conditions. Given the political socioeconomic conditions that we're in right now, this ad actually makes a lot of sense. It's like they saw that DEI was no longer in fashion given the current administration's loud disdain for inclusion, and then they said, whites only. Yeah. Anyways, that's pretty much all I have to say on the matter right now. If you made it to the end of the video, thank you so much for watching. I sincerely appreciate it. Please like, comment, subscribe, share, and let me know what you think down below because I would love to chat about it. Okay, well, much love always, and I'll see you when I see you. Bye.